I'm considered the most boring guy on YouTube. I pay rent less than $300 per month. I don't live in a mansion. I drive a used Toyota Corolla that's a little beat up, honestly. And on top of that, I spend less than $1,200 per month as far as my total living expenses. And I also wear a black t-shirt every single day. You can't get more basic than that. And I guess that's why they call me boring. Now, at age 19, I saved my first $10,000 twice. I'll tell you why by the end of this video. It's a fun story. By age 23, I saved my first $100,000, and by age 25, I had about $500,000. Not flashy, not boasting, it's just what it was. I was boring then, I'm boring now, but I've been doing very good financially. Now, does this mean I was born rich or with more information than the average person? The answer is no. My mom raised me and my sister on her own, basically. So single mom, my dad died, we were on welfare. I was not smarter than anyone. I didn't get into my colleges, only into some private school because I paid the money. That's basically it. Nothing cool about me. So how did I end up from going into being a statistic to being an outlier? The honest truth is luck. I got lucky. I heard the right thing from the right person at the right time, and that changed my life. And I'm hoping that right now, that's exactly what I could do for you. That maybe I'm the right person to tell you the right thing at the right time. It's just information, and once you have it, then you can go ahead and apply it. I'm gonna tell you the 7 things that changed my life forever. Let's get started. Number 1 is track every single dollar. If you can't manage a little bit of money, you can't manage more money or a lot of money. So my big problem was in the beginning, I thought that what's the sense in trying to manage this $60 I'm making every single week? True story. I'm not making a lot. Why save? Why invest? I'm just going to wait until I have some more money, and then I'm finally going to start budgeting and so on. The truth is, whenever you get more money, if you don't know how to manage a small amount, you have no hope to manage more of it, okay? So here's my approach. Start with what you have. That's the first thing. If you're making $60 a week or $1,000 or $10,000, doesn't matter. Just start tracking that. Track how much comes in and track how much goes out. Count every single dollar. Number 2 is, I did something very specific with my money, and that's basically, I gave every single dollar a job. That means, well, 5 jobs, honestly. The first job was emergencies, investments, debt, expenses, and charity. Those are the 5 jobs I gave my money, and I put them into those 5 categories. For every single lesson I learned, I'm going to give you guys a book, and I'm also going to give you guys a full video on the topic. The link is down below. Do not try to do all this stuff today. It's going to take too much time. So just do it one at a time, maybe 1 per week or 1 per month, and just keep going and going and going. It's like a master course for free, obviously. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Now, lesson number 2 is live below your means. What does this mean? It means whatever you make, spend less than that. The big problem for me, honestly, was at one point I was making, no joke, over $25,000 a month. I'm not saying this to show off or to be boastful, and do not be jealous of that, okay? Because the way my job works is I can make a lot of money today, but then I can make no money ever, okay? It's like a baseball player. You get injured, you're done for. You made all your money in a year for a lifetime. Be smart with it, okay? It's different. Now, my big problem was everyone said the same thing about me. The only reason you're able to live on less than $1,000 is because you have no wife, you have no children, and you live at home with your mom. That was true at that moment. But I always disagreed because I always thought frugality was always a choice. It is a choice not to spend more than you actually make. For most people, some people are forced into situations that is different. But for me now, here's my approach. Today, I have a wife, I have a kid, and I don't live with my mom. And I spend $200 more. I still save almost all the money I make. But second, how did I do this exactly? The answer is pretty simple. Know what's a want and know what is a need. Needs are usually put down into four categories. You have shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. Everything else usually is just a want. You know, Netflix, going out to eat, whatever. It usually is just a want. But the thing that makes you even more frugal is trying to save more money on the things you need. So instead of spending, for example, $3,000 on an apartment, like some people I know, well, I moved to Dominican Republic and I spent $300, well, less than $300 on my apartment right now. Instead of spending $700 a month on some car payment, I bought a car for cash, used, good condition, a little beat up, but it's ours and we don't have a payment every month. So if you can try to save money on your necessities and keep your wants low, well, you're going to be doing very good, very fast, very soon. And I recommend you read The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a great book on how to budget your money. Number 3, eliminate debt. Now, I told you, I have no debt. I have zero debt, but that's today. It always wasn't like that, okay? I owed over $70,000 and I was looking to get into as much debt as I possibly can. My problem was I was big on opportunity. If I could borrow other people's money to make me more money, then why wouldn't I do it? Whether it was to buy real estate, to buy stocks, to do whatever it took. Now, that also means that I was taking on risks that I really wasn't aware of because I always saw what could go right. I really wasn't worried about what could go wrong because I said, I'm prepared for it. But the truth is this, the more I did research, the more people I discovered that they were smarter than me and they went bankrupt. And it wasn't because they weren't smart, because they did something stupid, because they got greedy, but sometimes things happen out of your control and it means you lose everything. But if you don't take on a bunch of debt, then usually when things go wrong, it doesn't mean you lose everything, right? It doesn't mean you start over at zero. So today, the way I manage things is like this. Number 1 is I made a personal choice not to go into debt, no matter the opportunity or whatever. I know that sounds like very radical, and it is, but that was just my personal choice. And if you want to be debt free forever, then that's a choice you have to make. Number 2 is, it's going to sound counterintuitive, but the only thing you go into debt for is to buy a personal home on a 15-year mortgage where the payments are no more than 33% of your net income per month. Now, why exactly? Well, honestly, I don't know many people that can pay cash for a home. And trying to save up for 15 years to buy a home, by the time you're done saving up, the money is worth less, the houses have gone up in value, and you're just in big problems. So that's the only thing I would actually go in debt for. As far as a car, as far as for anything else, I would just save up for it and buy, like I've been doing for a long time. The car, we saved up for it, and so on and so on, okay? Now, a good book on this is called The Depression Diaries. It has nothing to do with that, but it will change your life when you understand how financial markets work and how bad things can actually get. I also have a video if you want to watch a video instead of reading a book. Number 4, build an emergency account. I've had to use my emergency account twice in my lifetime. And I never thought I would use it, but I sure was happy to have it when I needed it, okay? The first time was when my dad passed away. I needed money. It was a big emergency. It was a good chunk of money, and I used it to go ahead and be there for my dad's funeral. The second time was for my daughter's birth. It was a lot of money because we didn't really have insurance and we had to cover all of it. Thus, I was sure happy that we actually had that money to take care of all of those expenses. So emergency funds are so important. The worst thing is when people go into an emergency and the only thing they have is a credit card and they say, my credit card is for my emergencies. It's like digging your own grave, because when you spend that money, now you owe more money every single month. And if you're in trouble, usually you don't want to get yourself into more trouble. So here's my approach. Try to save up at least $500 to $1,000. That should be your first goal overall as far as an emergency account. And I would put that money in a high yield savings account that is separate from my check-ins, so I'm not tempted to spend it. Number 2, Once I'm debt free, well, I would go ahead and save up a fully funded emergency account, at least 6 months or 3 to 6 months, depending on your job security and how confident you find yourself with your job. And then third, once you become financially free, meaning you have a paid off home and you have some investments, then I would build up to a 1 year to a 5 year emergency account. That sounds radical. It sounds like a lot of money, but trust me, when you get to that point, usually your expenses are going to be lower. And the more money you have on the side, I really wouldn't worry about inflation that much. But the more money you have on the side, the more confident you're going to be that you have like a whole year to figure out what's going to happen in your life, or 5 years to figure out what's going to happen in your life. So it's a whole different feeling. And the book I recommend for this is The Psychology of Money. It's such a powerful book to understand the feelings behind our money choices. Not everything is going to be logical. A lot of things is going to be feelings. Number 5, invest early and consistently. Just like everyone else, I had the same exact goal. I wanted to get to $10,000 in passive income from the stock market, right? I want my investments to pay me a ton of money to buy all the things I wanted at that point. But once I started doing research, I saw the big problem. It was going to take a lot of work, a lot of time, and it was also going to be risky if I wanted to do it as fast as possible. Now, because of these factors, a lot of people just end up starting and losing everything, or starting and giving up because it's taken way too long. So my approach was this. This is what I did. 1, I focused on small goals, meaning I wasn't worried about $10,000. I was worried about my $20 haircut bi-weekly, which is $40 a month. And I was trying to get enough dividend income to cover that. Once I covered that, I was worried about my monthly phone bill. Once I covered that, I was worried about the next one. But these were all little small goals to help me along the way. And something interesting that happened was I started to reduce my bills a lot because I realized how much money it takes you have to have invested just to pay a tiny bill. And sometimes it's just best to cut the bill altogether. 2, invest consistently a small amount of money once you're debt free. For me, I think the perfect number is about 10%. It always feels like it's not enough, and that way you can always invest it. For people that want to invest 50% or 40%, often they start, something happens, and they have to take money out. But if you make it a tiny amount, like 10%, once you're debt free, you're going to be more consistent along the way, maybe 10 to 15%. And then third, if you're interested in what I personally invest into, I only have one investment, and that is the Vanguard S&P 500 fund. I only invest into that. That is my sole investment as far as the stock market. Now, the book I recommend for this is called The Little Book About Common Sense Investing by John C. Bogle. It's a great book that explains how index funds work and gives you a brief history of the stock market. Number 6, create multiple streams of income. You know, you don't need 7 streams of income or even 11 or 20. A lot of people hear that the average millionaire have this much or whatever, but I would focus on just getting one extra stream of income and starting off small, because when people try to do too many things at the same time, usually they don't really do much, and they split their money too thinly and they don't really make much either, and sometimes they lose money. So what would be my approach? Number 1 is don't overthink it. Just make it simple. One stream of income is having a side hustle. For me, it was flipping phones. That was a big side hustle for me, and it made me a decent amount of money. 2, you can have interest income today. Just put your money in a little high yield savings accounts, and boom, you have some interest income coming in. And 3, you can also have dividend income by investing some money into the stock market. But these are only things I would actually do once I'm debt free and I have a fully funded emergency account. Because the last thing you want is to have some investments and then you have to sell them because you have an emergency account. However, though, if you want to start a side hustle today, you can if you want to. Just start with a small amount of capital, or sometimes you don't even need any capital at all. Now, a great book for this is called 100 Side Hustles by Chris Guillebeau. It's a book that gives you a ton of ideas and different things you could be doing to make some extra money. Number 7, get educated about money. You don't know what you don't know, and you're not dumb because you don't know. You just don't know, you know? But the worst thing is, honestly, there are so many courses. There are so many books. There are so many videos. There are so many resources. And it's like, well, what do I do? How do I start? The answer is good news. You already started. You're watching a video instead of being on Netflix about money on Wednesday or whenever you're watching this video, and that's a good start. Number 2, buy my course. I'm just kidding, okay? I'm just kidding. Don't buy my course. But number 2, grab one of those books I recommended and watch one of those videos I recommended and just start there. And don't just watch it or read it, start applying it to your life. And 3rd, become a life learner and a life applier until you have your own philosophy. Here's what I mean, okay? A lot of people go through life and they're constantly changing and changing and changing. Change is not bad. Improvement is not bad. But usually, you're going to become an expert on one thing. But to become an expert, you have to get the foundations. And that's going to take a few years, a long time sometimes, and then you're going to be concrete. When I first started learning about money, I was big on debt, like you already know. I was big on leverage, like you already know. But now, I'm completely different. I'm very conservative. I'm very boring. But that's just what the journey led me on to this point. You know what I mean? So take your time and keep learning. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Thanks for coming along with me. Comment down below which tip is the one you need to work on the most. For me, it was always being frugal. Believe it or not, I was a big spender. The little money I had, I was spending it out of control. And here's the reason why I saved $10,000 twice. The first time, I invested it in sneakers, dates, clothes, food, and games. I spent it all on garbage. And for a long time, that was my biggest battle, not spending my money. Today, I seem disciplined or whatever, but that took a lot of rewiring of the brain. So take your time, it's okay, and I'll see you guys on this side. Maybe next year, maybe the following year. Thanks for watching. Long-term team out. Peace.